Hello from the still unseasonably warm southeast of England with Lola and Bailey. Am I getting both in? Yes. This is a little bit late February update. Had lots of stuff going on in family life, so things have been a little bit behind, but here it is. It is 12-13 degrees Celsius today. It's warm. I can't think of the words. The white flowers that come up, I had the word a little while ago, have come up. I'm trying to say snowbells, and that is definitely not right. But yeah, the flowers that normally come up first have been up for a long time. The daffodils are now out. Snowdrops, that's the word. I had that earlier. I don't know why it suddenly blanked on me. I was trying to call them snowbells. So yeah, daffodils have been up for a while. Everything is just crazily warm. Although we're on yet another warning for heavy rain overnight tonight. Only a little bit through most of the night, and then in 1 hour we're going to have apparently three inches in an hour. So I look forward to that. The big news is that I yesterday finished the first draft of Wanderer Book 10, and that means I have gone from first dictating to finishing the first draft in a little under 3 months, which is much faster than I've managed before. Two of the key things there: finally found my ideal plotting tool, which turned out to be Excel, weirdly enough, after looking at lots of expensive, or not expensive, but paid options and highly technical ones, but none of them worked. But Excel was really good, allowed me to plot exactly how I needed to. And I've also, as I think I've mentioned, whereas normally I would dictate, finish, and then start transcribing into first draft, I've been transcribing all the way through. The dictation got quite a way ahead, about 30 or 40,000 words ahead by the end, but it made a big difference to how quickly I could get through. It also strengthened the story, because as I was dictating things, I was much more aware of what had come before, as well as having just done it quickly. So I think it could have been faster. There was definitely times where I was going a bit slower because of work and other things going on. So it gives me hope that getting out 3 stories a year, 3 novels a year is definitely possible, whilst not being a full-time writer and also having quite a lot of short stories as well. So that's the really big news. The next steps will be, so I'll now go through and do a second draft on the computer. The next draft is there. After that is the printed draft, where I print it all out and look at it on paper. It's amazing how many things jump out on paper that just don't on a screen, and vice versa. And then after that it will go for editing, and it will go to my beta readers. But this time around it won't just go to beta readers, it will also be available to anyone who supports me on Patreon. So those amazing people who have already signed up will have the chance to read, obviously a slightly rough version, but close to the finished article, as the beta version. What it tends to be is the odd typo and missing apostrophes and things like that at this stage, rather than any major changes going to be coming beyond that point. And then once that's done, the book will be prepared, and again the final version will be available to my supporters on Patreon for at least 2 weeks before it even goes available to order direct. So the fastest way to get the new book, either significantly earlier if you don't mind the slightly rough beta version, or a lot earlier, or a couple of weeks earlier, is if you support me on Patreon, which is just $5 a month. Plug over. I really appreciate those people who are supporting it. It's really great. They get an extra free stories, they're getting insights. They will also, so this time around I've made notes for every scene as I went, just 2 or 3 short sentences, or rough notes. And so I'm also going to provide that to everyone who's on Patreon after they've had a chance to actually read the book, obviously. And I'm thinking of some other extras as well around the book, a little bit of insight into where things came from and how things changed, including a character who should have been a walk-on part, who then got killed by a very unpleasant fellow and ended up developing so much that she survived the book, in fact helped to save a ship at one stage. So that's what's been going on there. I also have finally have the camera on and the notes on here, but not for specifically this reason. I switched phones after the old one was falling apart after nearly 4 years. I've got a Galaxy Fold, so I can actually have my notes up and the camera up at a readable size. So, oh God, the dogs are pulling me on. So, other things going on. Sci-fi shorts. The most recent story is The Suit. It's a fun one. It's got definitely influences from Ian M. Banks' Culture Universe in terms of a very smart piece of smart spacesuit to go with the main protagonist. And there's a second story called The Suit Black Hole, which will be out in the next month or two. I can't quite remember which. And then there's the question of what I'm going to start on next, which I think is probably going to be Tegral Book 3 and possibly Book 4. I'm not 100% sure, but that's kind of what I'm thinking at the moment. Is it Tegral 3, Tegral 4 could well be the next two books. Wanderer 11 will definitely come along, and Wanderer 10 leaves it in a good place to lead on to that. But at the moment, I feel like I want a little bit of a break, so I've done Wanderer 9 and Wanderer 10 straight after each other. I'd quite like to play in one of the other universes, and Tegral is definitely one that I want to stretch out. I may also return to, I've got most of Hellfire Book 4 dictated, but I ran into issues with plotting there, so I think I want to go back to that and get that into Excel and get the overall plot in place. But Tegral 3 and 4 are definitely the ones I'm aiming for. I am still intending at some point, maybe not this year, maybe next year, to pick up Dark Soul Book 3 as well. That is going to be a lot of work, but I definitely think I will do it at some point. So that's it. It's a beautiful day. Give a bit of a pan around of the awesome countryside I get to live within, which is really great, and the dogs who are apparently trying to eat the crops. Get off. I don't know why. I used to believe that dogs were carnivores, but they're clearly not. They'll eat anything, and they particularly like grass. So that's it for February, and the March update will of course not be too long, February being short. So until next time, happy reading.